Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Money with Mission. Before I get into talking about our guest, I wanted to let you know and just kind of keep an eye out in your emails and in show notes and that kind of thing. But I've got quite a few talks already planned for 2024. Getting people on board and understanding their financial lives and really working to get us investing for passive income this year. My first talk is in March. It's at the end of March, and it is in a beautiful space in Sedona, Arizona, the Mongo Retreat Center. It will involve not only me talking about the financial awareness and learning how to invest for passive income using my Live, Live platform. You'll get a chance to reconnect with yourself, relax, spend some time on the beautiful property. We're having conversations 3 hours a day where you actually are sitting in a room. The rest of the time, there's a lot of other things going on to help you get back to being your very best self. So put that on your calendar. Oh, yes, I forgot to tell you, CMEs are available, up to 20 at this event. So put it on your calendar. It's at the end of March, the last week of March, I believe, but specific dates are coming out shortly. And I'll let you know. If you have questions before that, you know how to get me, email me, even call me. Many of you have my phone number, text me, whatever you need to do. Let's get going and let's make 2024 amazing. Okay, today on the show, I have Riggs Eckelberry. Riggs has been on the show before quite some time ago, and we're talking about water again. Why? Because water is like that most important thing in our life. And we have a lot of problems within our country, even if you aren't personally experiencing it at this time. If you've been listening to the news at all, you know that there are water problems, water infrastructure problems in our country. Riggs is long a disruptive tech marketer and executive. He became involved in the early green space when he co-founded the company that eventually became OriginClear, taking it public in 2008. Rough year to take a company public. Beginning in 2014, he and his team developed a series of transformative businesses which OriginClear manages in its role as a clean water innovation hub. Big water is changing fast. Growing water supply problems make it clear we can no longer rely on government and multinational corporations to take care of our water needs. So increasingly, local industry and large-scale communities are taking responsibility for the water they use. But they need compact, on-site systems, water expertise, and a way to pay for all of this. OriginClear's mission is to serve this fast-growing new audience with a series of revolutionary offerings to bring about clean, abundant water everywhere. Riggs came to the water industry from a quarter century in high technology, specializing in commercializing breakthrough technologies. During the dot-com, he worked on a series of tech successes such as QuarterDeck's Clean Sweep, security software vendor Panda Software, and the sale of companies to EarthWeb, BeFree, and Bell South. Just prior to founding what is now OriginClear, he helped drive security software company CyberDefender to an IPO on the NASDAQ as its president and chief operating officer. Riggs is in the best place he could be right now to help bring clean water, help improve our infrastructure. And we're going to talk about how that happens. Please don't turn this off thinking we're talking about privatizing water completely. That is not what we're talking about. There's a lot of good stuff going on here, and this truly gives your money a mission.
Be the change you want to see. Make a difference by giving your money a purpose, a mission to do good. Welcome to Money with Mission, where we show you how to create passive income so that you have options for how to work and how to live your life while leaving a legacy of positive social impact.
Hey, you guys, welcome back to Money with Mission. Today we have a guest that's coming back. This is Riggs Eckelberry, and I'm sorry I don't remember what episode Riggs was on, but Riggs is with OriginClear and Water on Demand, and we're going to be talking about water, our water infrastructure, what's the problems, what's the good, and what OriginClear, Water on Demand, and all the companies that are under his umbrella are working, or how they are working to fix these problems. Welcome back, Riggs. Thanks. It's good to see you again.
Lisa, it's such a pleasure again. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I met Riggs through Ken. I don't think I met you first. Ken Berenger. Ken Berenger also works with the company. Mm-hmm. And this was when I just transparency all around you guys. I have invested with OriginClear and Water on Demand because I really believe in what they're doing. So I'm not trying to get anybody else to do it unless you agree that this is something you should invest in. So don't think that at all. You know how I am, pretty transparent. Riggs, why should we care about water? Besides the obvious, we can't live without it. What's going on that makes it a problem for us?
It's a funny thing, Felicia, that water, which is everybody agrees is essential, is being neglected at all levels of the central, federal and state and city levels. And there's tremendous unmet budgets. There was an infrastructure act back in the beginning of the Biden presidency, $1.2 trillion. 1/2000th of that was for water, right?
How many dollars does that add up to be?
55 billion.
55 billion of it. Okay.
So there's all kinds of other things which are great. Nothing wrong with rural broadband and all that good stuff. I'm not saying that's wrong. But, I think there's a lot of complacency and a lot of, it's being taken care of. And there's been these canaries in a coal mine, which is like Flint, and the problems down in Miami-Dade County. And here and there we hear about problems. But, it's kind of like when you see one cockroach, there's usually 100 behind the wall.
Yeah.
That's kind of what is going on here,
So many of us don't think about it, though. When we talk about Flint, we talk about, one city after another is having problems. Flint,
Yep.
Miami, I think it was Louisiana or Mississippi.
Jackson,
Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Yes.
Jackson, Mississippi.
Yes. 55 billion. I'm sorry. 55 billion sounds like a lot of money. Why isn't that enough? What's the shortfall as far as the research you've done in getting everything up to snuff and carried forward and just keeping it up? What's the problem?
We're falling behind at almost $100 billion a year in America alone.
Okay.
So 55 billion just catches you up by 6 months. It's like, it's an order of magnitude off. It should be 550 billion, to make a difference. So we've fallen behind, and it's like that old Toyota Corolla that has the broken radiator and you keep putting water in every 50 miles. That's what it is, right? Eventually, the thing breaks down for good. And the other problem, of course, is that centralized systems are also vulnerable. There's been some cyber hacking incidents. Fortunately, none of them were serious. But any centralized system is vulnerable to being hacked. And that is a concern these days. There's, I heard about a bunch of airports got shut down in, I think it was Russia. Things get shut down just like that because they're so software dependent, right?
Right.
So that's the issue really, is that it's underfunded. It's it's early 20th century concept of centralizing everything.
Okay.
Whereas now we think decentralized. We're on a PC right now. We're not sitting on a mainframe, right? If we were on a mainframe, we'd be taking turns, and you used to have to buy your time ahead of time, and you'd have 10 minutes or 15 minutes on the machine, right?
Mm-hmm.
The PCs now serve us. They sit there waiting for us, which is how it should be. Is it more efficient, less efficient? It's more efficient for us, the users.
Yes.
And so if you really want to serve the end users, then you decentralize. You start doing all your water treatment at the point of use. Now, I want to make it clear. We are not advocating privatizing water supplies.
Good.
The fresh water should remain governmental because it's a trust. And every place that it's been done in America and in the UK, for example, it hasn't gone well because the operators start going for profits, and pretty soon the potable water starts really being messed up. So
You're saying, I want to make sure it's clear that you're saying that to privatize our entire water system for personal use, that's where it's been tried has gone bad. Is that what you just said? I want to make sure.
So the source of the fresh water, which is, I think, a permanent function of the municipality or utility or whoever it is, it's their job. And they need to continue doing that. Now, how can we help them? Well, we can take the load off of the dirty water treatment. That's what we can do. So we can treat our dirty water where we make it dirty. Isn't it logical, Felicia? You treat the water you make dirty before you send it away. Just treat it. You just made it dirty. Clean it up and treat it to the city. Now, the city can use it, or you can, recharge the aquifer. You can put it into the groundwater. That's fine too. It's all treated. That's great. So now what you've done is you've taken the burden off of the city of treating all that nasty stuff. And sometimes it's very nasty stuff. You're responsible for it. You take care of it. Now, why would I, a business, want to do this? Well, number one, water and sewage costs are running out of control right now. The inflation is ridiculous. It's running faster than college tuition right now.
Let me clarify one thing, Riggs, because I want to make sure I got a little bit confused myself. So I want to make sure everybody else is straight. Why would a business, not why would Origin Clear and your business want to do that? Why would anybody else's business who's using water want to be able to take care of their own water? Is that what you're explaining to us now?
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
The first reason.
Go ahead. I'll get to I'm backing up a little bit in a second, but go ahead.
First one is cost control, because right now we're all dependent on the city, and the city raises the rates for everybody, and it's been very inflationary. When you get your own system, of course, you control your own costs. That's it. You have a machine, you're set, right?
Yep.
The second reason is you can recycle. America does not recycle its water. Now you're able to save on the water you buy by recycling on site, right?
Okay.
The third reason is you don't get all tied up with the pesky regulations and the latest stuff happening, because many businesses have gone on their own because they were being harassed so much by the utility. So those are the three big reasons. And,
harassed for what reasons?
well, just for example, a great example, in the East Bay area, there was a brewery that the cities were just like, no, we're only going to take so much, and you're going to have to truck the rest to the other county. I'm like,
Okay.
well, what's that all about, right?
Okay.
So again, because they're overloaded, I'm not blaming them. It's just they're overloaded, right? And so if you meet permit requirements, then they leave you alone. That's it. You're done, right? It's like the fire inspector. Fire inspector does not come around except when it's time to renew the permit. Otherwise, you're on your own. And that's how it should be. So those are the three big reasons. And you were going to back up on something. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to go back up on the $55 billion that's not enough to keep our water infrastructure as it is, but we're already behind. And I just want to make sure people understand what the water infrastructure is. It's the pipes, and what needs to be done to them and that kind of stuff, just so we can get a better grounded understanding of what's going on.
Okay, so you got two major categories. One is, three. One is the water source, wherever it comes from. That's the fresh water. Number two is the treatment.
Mhm.
And number three is what we call conveyance, getting it places, moving it around.
Okay.
Now, the conveyance is a big problem because there's all the pipes are leaking. And where there's joints, where there's the ground goes up, you have to have what's called a pump station to push the water up. And that's basically, it's a point of weakness where there's a lot of leakage. And so some places leak as much as 30% of their water into the ground.
Mhm.
Well, that's revenue loss. And when it's sewage, it pollutes the ground.
Yeah.
So that's the conveyance part. Then the treatment part is those big plants you see with the big circular dealios. And they can only grow so big. Why? Because, behind me is a little clip of the front of my house, but we are in a place called Pinellas County, which is full to the block. You're not going to find room for a sewage plant. So there's no place to put it, right?
Mhm.
So that's the second major part of the problem. And then, of course, let me put it this way. 90% of all water demand is by industry and agriculture.
Got it. Yes.
We take the load off. Now we've solved the problem, because either you fund a big system, or you make the system smaller. There's two ways to do it.
Okay.
So now you have a much less overloaded water system, and they can focus on a very important audience, which is you and me.
Private.
Residential user needs to be served first and foremost. And by industry and agriculture going off the grid, the city, the utility can serve the people. In Ireland, water is free. Why isn't it free here? Because 90% of industry of the demand is being taken up by industry and agriculture. Therefore, there's no way it's going to be free.
And is there a country that actually already is doing this, or who recycles their water or does better with their water than the United States? So is this
Israel's the world leader for recycling. Well, they have a very particular situation, which is since World War II, since the establishment of the state, they have a very disciplined mindset, taming the desert, all that good stuff. And they just built with water recycling in mind, day one. And so they've just done a good job of it. And another place that's very good with recycling is Las Vegas, Nevada.
Okay.
they're keenly aware that they only have so much water.
Water. Yeah.
So they recycle almost all their water. It's very, very good what they do. So there are some examples out there, but it requires a will. And nationally in America, we don't have the will. And the other problem is this. Let's say the city wants to recycle. Well, fine, but these plants are not built for recycling. It's billions and billions more dollars. And again, where's the money coming from? They're not even taking care of their core mission. And now they're supposed to recycle. But if you have the water and you treated it, you can then reuse it yourself. It's still with you. The minute you let it go to the utility, then God knows what happens next.
Okay. All right. So you said that the majority of our water is used by industry and not by personal use, which to me makes sense. Industries should clean their own water. And I can hear people out there saying, but we got to eat. So that's irrigation for our food and that kind of thing. Can you square that up? Because I'm just thinking through all the things that people are going to say, but surely we should be paying for that.
Well, okay. So first of all, let's take agriculture. They are in places like California working very hard to make better use of their water. Now, it would be nice if they didn't have water hungry crops.
Yeah.
Those are the cash crops. So what are you going to do, right? They should grow in the Midwest where there's water, like the Mississippi watershed, right? That's where there's water everywhere over there.
Yeah.
So, but California's got a peculiar problem. They are working on it. They're working hard on it. I'm not talking about the supply of fresh water. It's not my mandate. My mandate is to, make it easier for the utilities to do their basic mission of providing water to everyone. And if the treating of dirty water is no longer as much of a problem for them, then they can do that. So it's very simple. And because business likes it, and as you know, we've made it even more palatable with our new program called Water on Demand, which is, hey, don't pay for that machine. Just sign a service contract and you'll stay on the meter like you always were. For you, it'll be transparent. The water treatment goes to you. This condo development behind me might have a water system, and that's it. It's theirs, but they don't pay the capital costs. They just pay on the meter like they're accustomed to. And that's Water on Demand. Now, what that meant was, wait a minute, if I give that condo a water system, well, how do I pay for it? Well, it comes from investors. And so we've set up a whole investment pool system, a lot like oil wells, where people can invest in water systems. It's a bucket of water systems, and they get royalties and they get shares in the public company and so forth. And it's been very popular. So that is, and in fact, we're not the only people doing this water as a service thing, but we're the only ones that the ordinary investor can invest in.
Right.
That's the difference.
Right. So I'm going to back up a little bit because I think we made a leap, and I'm following you, but I'm worried that other people are not following you. When it comes to a water treatment system, a business can buy that, and then they are managing their own water. Can they clean their water to something that you can drink, or are they cleaning it to water their lawn? How are they cleaning it to?
Well, it's up to them, but typically they only go as far as, water for irrigation, for example, or for wash downs or for steam vessels, because to go the last step to potable, it gets much more expensive.
Okay.
It just because of course you got to make sure it's healthy, right? I mean,
right. There's a lot more testing.
So typically, no, it's not. Breweries don't reuse their water for beer. They reuse it for their processed water.
Okay. And if they are not going to reuse it, they'll send it on back to the centralized place where they're going to take it to that next step to be able to drink it, for us to be able to drink it, right?
Yes. Now, unfortunately, the municipalities are not doing that. The utilities are not, they're getting the water, treated water, and they just get rid of it. And recycling is a whole additional step that's not being done in America.
Okay. And then you talked about, so as a business, I can buy this piece of equipment that's going to recycle, it's going to treat my water. And then you could get to the issues like, I'm thinking, well, what business can afford that? That sounds really expensive. You have a solution for that by having the ability to finance that, or just basically you're renting it, this piece of equipment. Is that correct? And investors are buying that equipment. They're investing in purchasing that equipment.
Correct. And they retain the ability to put a lien on the equipment in the event royalties aren't paid. So it is an asset-backed investment.
Okay. All right. Okay. I know you're not an accountant, but I'm going to ask this question anyway. Is there a tax advantage to investing in this as there is in some oil things there are? But I guess the tax in oil is by exploration, but I'll let you answer the question. Go ahead.
The master limited partnerships, the MLPs, have a sweetheart tax deal. They've had it for decades. Some senators have tried to broaden it to other industries. It hasn't worked.
Okay.
What we do to compensate for that is we make our investors into equity investors in the company, both in the parent company, Origin Clear, and also Water on Demand itself.
Okay.
And so they get their royalties, their profit share, 25% of net profits for the duration of the project, 10, 15 years, whatever it is, and no particular tax benefits, but they do get a piece of the companies.
Okay. Okay. Hmm. And so how are you guys getting the equipment that businesses are using? Are you building it? You're buying it from somewhere else? Where's the supply chain potential breakdowns? Just thinking through what we've had lately.
Sure. So we started out as a public company. We started out in pure technology. And then we realized that it's very hard to get the water industry to accept new technology because they're technology averse. It takes 12, 15 years to do that. So we realized, you know what, we need to start operating ourselves. And so the first thing we did was we bought a company in Texas called Progressive Water Treatment in 2015. And they blew up last year. They went more than double their revenue, which is a lot in water. And then in 2018, we launched Modular Water, which is a downsizing of those big utility systems into these small modular packages. So the first one, Progressive, is just custom engineering. Great. They just know how to build anything, anywhere. They do large power plant projects, for example.
Okay.
And then we have Modular Water, which is more of a standardized, pods, water treatment pods, right? That can be deployed instantly in a matter of hours on site, and boom, it's running. So we first had to do all that before we were able to set up this capital game, because you want to be able to fulfill, like, okay, there's a deal. Now, where do we get the machine? Well, turns out we made the investment, we built, and those businesses are doing extremely well, doubling year over year, because there's pent-up demand for this decentralization already. We're responding to very high demand. Our people are scrambling to hire more, to get more facilities, and eventually to acquire more fabrication facilities, et cetera, because there's a lot of demand already. Now, so if you look at an upside down triangle, the very bottom tip of it is the people who absolutely must have something, and they'll buy it. Like, yeah, I need that. I need it now, right?
Okay.
That's a very small percentage of the total usually.
Right.
It's big. It's big for us because, it's high ticket, right? So it adds up. But then the next layer up, which is a larger audience, is the people who they have a problem, they haven't figured out how to solve it, mainly for capital reasons. And that's Water on Demand.
Okay. Yeah.
After that, we'll get to the people who don't even know it's a problem yet. We'll get to them, right? So the people who need it now and have the money, we're serving now. The people who need it, are being fined every day and all that stuff, but haven't figured it out, is our next big milestone.
Got it. You mentioned breweries as a business that would use this. We talked about agriculture industry. What other kind of businesses, when you talk about this pent-up demand, who is in demand? Who's looking for this?
Well, for example, housing developments are a great target for us because there's areas of America where there's been out-migration from the cities and they're booming. Let's take North Texas, for example, between Dallas and the Oklahoma border, big land boom.
Yep.
And the sewage cannot keep up.
Okay.
And so these developments are put up, we drop a pod in place, and they're done. They're set. So that's one example.
So let me make sure they don't ever have to hook up to the city, county, state, whatever, whoever manages the sewage. They don't have to hook up to that. What's coming in from the city we don't have to put it into your sewage. You don't have to deal with that. We're taking care of the water here.
Correct.
Got
They
it.
usually have a water pipe from the utility, but that's the freshwater pipe is nothing. It's, 6-inch pipe, no big deal. It's the sewage mains that is a big deal, right? They're usually under pressure, et cetera.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you get rid of that problem completely. And of course, you can also just use a well on premises, but typically people just go ahead and get the water from the city. Okay, so that's number one.
I'm sorry, one more thing. So this will help solve potentially some of our housing problem in the United States, because now you can build places where you may not be able to connect to a sewage system. Correct? Am I?
There's a tremendous amount of properties out there that are very undervalued because they're not anywhere near sewage.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's
Now
a
this
great
takes care of that. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Also, things like freeway rest stops, RV campgrounds, trailer
Mhm.
parks, these all tend to be detached from the city. The breweries, as I said, food and beverage is a very good target. Now, increasingly, you have energy. Fossil energy often has to treat its own water. Alternative energy also.
Mhm.
Also, chip manufacturing as typical more. They kind of have to take care of their own water. And
Mhm.
so these are for example, we have a dealership in Pennsylvania that was relocating, and they used our technology to relocate to a very cheap land
Mhm.
because it
Mhm.
wasn't sewage served, but now
Mhm.
they're their own what's called black water recirculation system, and everybody's happy. So that's that's just a few of the ones that are going on right now, and I think the number of businesses is going to grow. What we don't do is a single family dwelling, only because we don't scale down that low. So
Right.
it might be a housing development apartment complex at the lowest. And then you can also, we do all the embassies in the world, American embassies.
Okay. All right.
They
In the
have
world, not just the United. Okay, in the world. Okay.
it's one of our businesses that we do. We work with a bunch of manufacturers reps, and one of those reps has a relationship with the State Department. And we build these systems hardly knowing where they're going. It's all coded and so forth, and we'll see Embassy Cobra. We have no idea where it is. It's just a code word. So we do all those. And that's a classic decentralized use because they have, for security reasons, they have to be fully.
Independent.
Exactly.
So it keeps you from being hacked and anybody from getting into your water system. Is that the thing? So are they getting their fresh water? Is it harder? I'm trying to understand that. Talk about how the water's coming in, because I'm thinking that this is a way to manage your water going out.
Sure. But they also manage the water coming in. You're going to want to filter it and make sure it's safe, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's easy to
Okay.
do. We have customers for whom we do the incoming water. For example, we have a premium hotel chain that's growing fast, and they made a decision that all their incoming water, not just the bottle on the dresser, but all the water will be ultra pure
Okay.
in the entire hotel, kitchens, showers. And so I think we've done 3 or 4 of their hotels so far, and it's just built in, right?
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of that going on. And now, of course, farms, pig farms, chicken farms, the agricultural farms, these all have a water problem,
Yeah.
and they typically have to handle it themselves. For example, before COVID, we were working with a group in Spain that was doing something because in Spain, northern Spain, there are pig farms everywhere. It's ridiculous. And what happens is they dump it in the fields, but after a while, the fields get over nitrated. There's too much of that stuff. You can only put so much, it becomes toxic. And so they got to do something about it. And the local state authority says, well, you better take care of it. So that's the kind of project in the agricultural space. Trailer parks are big targets. Why? Because for the longest time, trailer parks had what was called passive water treatment. Now, what is passive water treatment, you ask? Well, it is simply dumping it in a pond. That's what it is.
Okay.
That's passive water treatment.
Okay. All right.
It's a very green, slimy pond. They put it that way.
Yes.
And that was the standard for a long, long time. Now, what's happened is the departments of environmental protection in places like Alabama have been catching up. Like, okay, we need to fix this, and they've been mandating you got to clean it up. Oh, and you can't connect to us. No. You need to solve it yourself. And so
Okay.
we help these trailer parks solve the problem themselves with, again, a decentralized system. And now they're fine. They take the water that they treat and they just dump it in the groundwater and everything's fine.
I just really see as a real estate investor, this opening it up really to really help our housing crisis, our housing that help people who don't have a home. We can build in places, lower priced land that
Mhm.
can't connect to the sewer because we have this ability to buy this, and you have the ability to finance it so that it's not a big jump, a big add on to your overall project cost. And then even the people in the development can even now take up the cost of the regular rent payment. Is that like just like you're paying for your regular water? Am I getting that kind of right?
Yeah. So it works well for the developer because you can pass it on to the HOA and the HOA simply, like the way I would pay for water in this place, I don't pay a private utility, but I could, but it's seamless, right? We saw something like that happen. I don't know if there was a movement for a long time, still is, where companies will, in states that allow it, shift you from one energy provider to another.
Okay. I mean, I don't have that. Okay.
Right. As I say, it tends to be specific localities that permit it. And a friend of mine actually has a business that does all that.
Mhm.
And for the end user, it's the same electricity. It's just different provider, different bill, maybe cheaper.
Okay.
And everyone's happy.
Kind of so like your mortgage gets sold. You get your mortgage to a certain company, and all of a sudden you're sending your check somewhere else. Unchanged
Well,
what the payment is, but
Well, that happens to, our mortgage provider switched and all of a sudden we were paying somebody else. Correct.
yes.
Same way with energy, same way with water now. It's the days of government monopoly are fast fading away, and water is one of the last holdouts.
Mhm.
And this is really the reason why I'm interested in it, because look, I came from the hot, sexy .com world where everything was like, this term I heard this week called blitz scaling. You're blitz scaling a business, right?
Yes.
Sure. Anyway, that's what I was accustomed to. Now I jumped into water and it's all of a sudden, everything slowed down. Well, what does that mean? It means there's opportunity, right? You want to find the spaces that are lagging so that you benefit from the catch up.
Yeah.
When AT&T broke up, it went from a very, sort of, princess phones and answering machines, and that was nothing else. Then it got broken up, and then we eventually got the internet. I mean, we got all kinds of things because of the breakup, right? So, and billions got made in cell phone towers, you name it.
Yeah.
And so, first of all, it makes the market bigger. Secondly, there's an investing opportunity. And thirdly, it's better for everyone. I would argue that we're better served with telecommunications today than we were 50 years ago.
I'm laughing about Princess phones because I kind of forgot about the little green. We had a little green Princess phone. There was a pink thing. They're so cute. You probably can't find those anymore. Or if you can't connect them to anything. Go ahead.
Well, anyway, so there's a water revolution happening. And what's great about it is, as investors, ordinary investors, we keep being overshadowed by the big investors. I mean, look,
The institution.
like Bill Gates buying all the farmland, for example.
Yeah.
Or BlackRock being all over the real estate, whatever, right?
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
Whereas water is just starting. There's one unicorn that occurred this year called Gradient, and they're funded by high-end PE firms.
Okay.
And they go after exactly our business, but at the very, very high end, the Pepsi-Colas of the world.
Okay.
They do the very high-end Fortune 500 stuff. We are mid-range, which is much more numerous and faster in a way. It's one of my crosses to bear is when we get a big deal in. Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
It takes forever and it's
Yes.
hard to digest and so forth. So we like the velocity of the smaller deals, $500,000 to $2 million per system.
Yeah.
It works well. Now, so what I'm saying is this. Ordinary investors have an opportunity to step into a space that is doing this going into the modern world thing. And the Ashton Kutchers of the world aren't really in it. Now, why do I mention Ashton Kutcher? Because he was an early investor in Airbnb.
Airbnb. Yes.
And he made a huge, like 140,000% on his money.
Okay.
All the more power to him. But did we get a chance? No. It was only VC. And if you were well connected, you do it. This is for everyone. We like to say water is the people's asset. And by doing this, we're also doing something great for the quality of water, as I said, by, taking it offline,
Yes.
off the grid. taking
Yes.
the water treatment off the grid.
Yes. People are not losing, individuals are not losing water. You're gaining because we're pulling off the water. We're pulling off the work of the water company for companies. I'm sorry. I'm saying that terribly.
Sure.
Businesses are now taking care of their own water so that the centralized system doesn't have to, thereby giving them a chance to better take care of my water and your water. That's where we are, right?
Precisely. And then, of course, the investing opportunity,
Correct.
which is we found a tremendous amount of interest because we go, it's water like an oil well. But guess what? It's not oil, it's water. And they go, well, that's great. I'd rather do water than oil any day.
Yes.
People do oil investments because it's profitable, right? Not
Yes.
because they love it. I mean, people don't love oil, but they do it because it's a big business, right?
Yes.
If it's water, people go, oh, that's nice. I like that.
Yes. 100%. How do people find, or where do they go to be able to talk to somebody about investing in this, to learn more, just get a better idea of it? How do they get there?
Well, there's a secret handshake first.
Got a secret. Go ahead.
Anyway, all you got to do is you can go to originclear.com. You'll get invited to come on my CEO briefings, which we like to say we're the most transparent public company in America, meaning we just tell everything that we're allowed to legally each week, every Thursday night.
Every week.
Every week. We have done so since the dawn of time. Well, the dawn of COVID for Zoom anyway. But long before that, I was doing these things in these sort of group telephone calls. How antiquated that seems. But, times change like that.
Fast.
Pretty soon, there'll just be me and AI talking to you and AI, and then we'll be just, doing something else, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But originclear.com, there's an Invest Now button, green button. Just go ahead and punch that button, and it'll run a video and tell you all about it. And then you'll get a chance to talk to the amazing Ken Berenger, who helped me create Water on Demand. Now, currently, you have to be accredited. Now, we had a crowdfunding offering for unaccredited investors, but we froze it for this merger we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be restarted in the new year, and that'll mean that people can invest a small amount of money in what's called Regulation A, which is crowdfunding.
Mm-hmm.
And they can be unaccredited. They can invest up to 10% of their annual income. If they are accredited investors, meaning that they are earning $200,000 a year with the spouse or cohabitant is $300,000, or they have $1 million assets outside of their primary home. Yeah. Those people get another level of deal. That is the one happening, right?
Yes. Okay. So you can go to originclear.com. You can also go to moneywithmission.com under opportunities, and Philanthro Investors is where you're going to find about Origin Clear. And we might have a conversation with me first. If you don't want to do that, go straight to Origin Clear and you can go right and talk to Ken. If you want a more basic understanding of it, you can go to Money with Mission, have a conversation with me first, and then I'll get you over and talking to Ken. No, he's going to give you the details about the whole thing. That is amazing. I'm excited to be invested. I invested, maybe it's been a year, maybe not a year, maybe 6 months, 8
almost
months.
a year.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about what's going on with this company. I want more people to be excited about what's going on with this company just because it is about water, the most important thing for us to have in our life. I tell people to drink more water on a regular basis as a urologist. So water's important. I'm really excited to have had you here again, Ken. We talked about, I called you Ken.
It's okay.
Riggs.
I'll just have a New York accent.
You guys, Ken's fun. He talks fast too. So you have to slow him down sometimes. All right. Thank you so much.
But I want to say to your audience, Felicia, that I think it's a good idea to go to your site because you will break it down and you will, I think, be their advocate. Why not? I think it's very smart. I really appreciate your help in that regard. I know that you're just a wonderful evangelizer. So please.
Yes, I 100% love it. There's a lot of things under that and Philanthro Investor umbrella also. Money with Mission is about investing so you can have a return and you can make a positive impact in the world. Thank you so much, Ken. You guys, all the information is going to be in the show notes. I know you're not sitting there writing this down, but check out the show notes, click on what you want to go to, and let's have a conversation. Thanks, Ken. See you guys next time.
Alicia, thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Ken. All right.
You've been listening to Money with Mission. There are projects happening right now. where you can have a great financial return while positively affecting the lives of others. To learn more about our opportunities, go to moneywithmission.com.